see you. Isn't it a good morning? You know, I have to tell you a story about my father. My father lived to be 101.
Wow.
Yes. And one time we were at a Chinese restaurant, and my mother is 96, and she still drives, she cooks, she cleans, she does everything except mow the lawn. And we were at a restaurant. He passed away, but before he passed away, we went to this Chinese restaurant, and we opened up our fortune cookies. And he opened up his, and he started laughing. He goes, "Oh God, this is so funny." And I said, "What is it, Dad?" And he gave it to me, and I looked at it, and I go, "Oh, this is pretty funny." It said, "Any day above ground is a good day." So I keep that. Hey, my friend, how you doing? Great. I sent our friend our picture, and he's just like, "Oh my goodness, what are you doing hanging out with him?" Hi, Katie. Hi, how are you doing? Did you get a card yet? Good. Anybody did not get a card? Everybody should have a card. Great. So good to see you. Hi, Ashley. So good to see you.
Thank you.
Great.
Mary.
Hi, Mary. Good to see you. And who else did not get one? All right. So we're going to do a little centering activity before we really get into it. And then we'll have an opportunity to compare notes and interact a little bit. So I want you to get yourself comfortable. And we're going to do a little breathing for about 90 seconds. So I want you to focus on the inhale, the pause, and then exhale. Inhale, pause, and exhale. And our goal right now is to bring you here to be present, 100%. So let go of any anxiety, reflections, regrets of the past, and be present. So, because of the things we're going to be doing here, we don't want you to miss the opportunity for it to be part of your experience. So, go ahead and get yourself comfortable. And at the sound of the chime, just bring yourself back. So, we're going to take 90 seconds to do this breathing activity. Okay? Go ahead. So now that I have you all present, here and now, I want you to take a look at these photos. Hi. What is your name?
Hi, I'm Ann.
Hi, Ann. Come here, Ann.
Thanks.
It's okay.
What?
We're happy to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
So take a look at these photos. And I want you to think a little bit about what were the environmental factors that contributed to these images? Did this just happen by accident? Or were there actually influences that created the opportunity for this to occur, for children to become more engaged? Is it a matter of chance, wishful thinking, or is there an intention there? And think about your intention of not only being here now, but if this is an image that you hope for, desire, or currently experience, think about what did it take to get to this point where you look at the different factors. There could be a lot of things in here. It could be the observation about the age group, the structure, the dynamics, the body language, going from this type of interaction to this type of engagement. So I want you to just think about these children. And who's behind that secret there that made that happen? So what we're going to do is we're going to reflect a little bit and think about not only the children, but also, how many of you are familiar with metta? So metta is about loving kindness. It's about that self-kindness and self-care, but also it's about the positive energy that we give each other and to others. So let's give ourselves a message through this metta. Put your right hand on your heart, because it is heartfelt. And let's just do this together. Ready? Go. May I be safe.
May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace.
Stay where you are there on your heart, because this is a heartfelt activity. And there's a guy by the name of Wayne Dyer. Anybody know about Wayne Dyer? I love Wayne Dyer. And he said something that has stayed with me. It's been about 15, 20 years now. He said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So let's take a look at these children here. And I want you to select one child or a group of them, and then we're going to wish them a metta. We're also going to project to them energy. So we don't know the history of these children, but the way we feel about them is the way we respond to them, irrespective of their age, behavior, color, size, shape, or language. So together, it's you can repeat after me in case you don't remember. So we're going to say, may you, and focus on that image that you have here. May you be safe.
May you be safe.
May you be happy.
May you be happy.
May you be healthy.
May you be healthy.
May you be at peace.
May you be at peace.
Thank you. What you just did is transformative. It's transformative. It's not a heavy lift. I've heard people think, oh, it takes time and it takes years. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. That's a myth. In fact, it's instantaneous, because sometimes when we experience trauma, it changes our DNA. It changes our way of perceiving the world. But also when we experience loving kindness, it can also change the way we look at the world. And it is instantaneous. It is behavioral. It is belief. And when you look at these children, you don't know that this was at an alternative school where these children have been suspended and expelled. And you don't know if this school really is as good as it looks academically. But it doesn't matter, because the way you've changed your way of looking is transformative, and that's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to just kind of do a very short introduction because of time. We have about, I think, 10, 20. So these shared agreements always in the transformative community are done collectively. It's not about, when I was in school, the teacher would come in and say, here are my rules, and if you violate the rules, you're out of here. And anybody have that experience? In fact, I grew up in a small town in California called Los Angeles, and they used to use paddles on us. That was a norm. And I remember getting sometimes 2 and 3 a day because of my behavior, but I never knew the shared agreement. So we look at these being present, and that's really what it's all about. Now I'm going to give you the QR code where all of this material is located, so you get a chance to access the Dropbox. Suspend judgment, and that's about being present, not good or bad, whether you like it or believe it. That's irrespective of it. Being present and suspending judgment means that you look for those diamonds in the rough and the gold nuggets. That was staged. That's a critical thinker, but we want to put that aside and not be judgmental. allow for any healing to occur, you yourself. And so be thankful and appreciate the small stuff, the little things that we do. And sometimes when I love working with all grade levels, adults, especially high school. That's a different culture there. But I have done a lot of work all across the country and internationally working with adults. But it wasn't until recently that I started working with students and training the students the same professional development that the adults receive. And guess what? Transformation occurred the next day. I have principals call me and say, I can't believe what happened. Every time teachers go to professional development, they just roll their eyes and come back and keep doing what they're doing. The kids were demanding SEL implementation. They were demanding mindfulness. They're demanding a more equitable learning environment. And this is where the transformation really, where the rubber meets the road. So we're going to do a little bit of reflection. Now I want everybody with a card. Everybody has a card. Anybody not have a card? Okay, on your card, it's something to write with. And I want you to write your thoughts. I give you about 90 seconds. Just any thoughts that you might have about the phrase transformative educational leadership. What comes to mind when you hear that? Just whatever, kind of a brain dump on the card, just write on there. What comes to mind when you hear the phrase transformative educational leadership? So when you're done, I want you to go ahead and go to the back of the room and take your card with you and sit in the circle. Good for you. Thank you. Right. So let's move our chairs back just a little bit. Move back maybe about 4 feet. Yeah, there you go. Make yourself a lot of room. And part of the transformation process, it's not just looking at the research and thinking and knowing. We have a huge problem in education. And this is it. When I first started teaching in 1975 in San Jose, California, I started off in a portable, trailer, because they had condemned the old middle school and they were building a brand new state-of-the-art open space middle school. And I remember the extent of our professional development was this. Professors from Stanford University came in and told us how wonderful open space was. And that was it. We sat and received. And we have had an implementation gap ever since I've been in education. So within 3 months, the walls went up. We just didn't know how to work together. We didn't know how to behave and so forth. So a lot of work that I do with school districts is about doing and engaging. So we're going to do a little bit of transformational activity. And I'm just going to start one of you. And when you're ready, you get up and you form a concentric circle. You're all familiar with concentric circles? So I'm going to just start right here. Michelle, you're going to be 1. James, you're going to be 2. So once you establish 1 and 2, I want the 2s to be in the inner circle and the 1s on the outer circle. You will stand up and face each other. And then Tara, and then John, 1, 2, and then you get up and you're ready. So you go ahead and get yourself arranged. So you start here, Jill, 1, 2, 1, 2, count, and get yourself in the concentric circle.
1,
2.
One. 1, 2, 1.
See, right where you are, number 1, stay by your seat, and 2, you just get up and face them. There you go, right here. Exactly. Wonderful. That was awesome. So we're going to practice the outer circle. You're going to move to one person to your right. So we're going to establish a shared agreement. When I ring the bell, you thank your partner just for being there. However you want to say, oh, good to see you, and then you turn to right. Now, you got to have your cards with you. Make sure you have your cards with you. Okay, you'll need those cards. So when I ring the chime, the outer circle takes one step, or step to the next person to your right. But say thank you to the person you're with right now. All right, greet each other, say hi, how are you doing?
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, right. Thank you so much for
So we're going to work on one other shared agreement, and that is when you see me raise my hand out of circle, you need to raise your hand. This means finish what you're saying, but you join me so that the people that have their backs to me actually know when it's time. So when I raise my hand out of circle, you raise your hand, and then you just kind of bring your conversation so I can give you the next direction. Out of circle. There you go. That's great. So let me give you the instructions. You're going to do a quick introduction. Hello, my name is, and I want you to practice with me. And I'm going to look at it as if I had a partner, and then you respond. So I'm going to say my name, and then you say hello, and then my name, and then the other person says their name, and you say hello, and you pronounce their name. Pronounce the name the way they say it. So I'm going to say, hello, my name is Hector. You say, hi, Hector. And then you say your name to your partner, and then you take out your card and you talk about what transformation means to you. Okay? Now, I'm going to bring you together, and then I'll give you instructions. We'll just do this real quick because we don't have a lot of time. So, ready, go. Introduce yourself, and then talk about your card, what you have in your card.
I just wrote 3 words.
So this is a concentric circle. Transformation begins with the inner work. It doesn't begin with the intellectual understanding and comprehension of what it should be. It's the actual practice. So when I ring the chime, you just thank your partner, and go to the next one, and you go, hi, my name is, and my name is that, and that's the end of it. We don't, we have such a short time to say, your current partner, you thank them by name, so good to share with you. Go to your next partner, say, so good to see you, say your names, and then go on back to your seats. But when I do the chime, that's when you thank the partner. You never just walk away. Never just walk away. And then you go to your next partner to your right, the outer circle only, and then you greet each other and head on back to the seats. concentric circles. There's a saying goes, unfamiliarity breeds contempt. And we work in silos in our educational system. And what happens a lot is that we begin to resent other silos because they didn't do their job, or they just throw stuff at us and they didn't ask us, consult with us. So that is epidemic. That's like pandemic, because I've been all over the world and it's happening everywhere. And so when we talk about transformation, you're talking about that ability to reflect. So this is I'll show it at the very end. This is the QR code. If you don't have a reader like your phone, like a lot of iPhones, you just put on photo or QR code, or you can just type that in and I'll go right to the Dropbox. I put a lot of material in there about transformation, about SEL, about mindfulness. There's articles in there, so for your information. And I'll show it again at the end. And so I'm going to go ahead and change real quickly. So this next part, I'm just going to kind of give you a quick overview of transformative educational leadership. And one of the things that I want to emphasize here is that TEL is a formal organization, and it's based on social and emotional learning. And what we do is we look at the integration, going from the silos, because here's mindfulness, here's SEL, here's equity, and here's leadership. And in education, we see that the four do not interface. So it's about rooting the transformative potential of leadership. There's a saying goes, if a principal is not an instructional leader and coach, then he's just a manager, or she's just a manager. And that's what happens a lot. They inspect, they go around and maybe visit classrooms. So we're talking about the potential of leadership that integrates the cutting-edge applications of equity. Understanding equity is a major challenge, I know, in education. SEL and mindfulness. They're interdependent, they're interlocked. They are not separate activities that we often see. So a mindfulness practice comes in, and then there's an SEL coach over here, then they're talking about equity district-wide, in the service of creating a more compassionate and interdependent world. So if you have these components that are not interfacing, and then it's not interdependent, they're separate silos, and you're perpetuating the same mentality and dynamic that creates failed reforms and failed change. So we talk about change, and yet it's not happening because we're not doing the inner work. So look at transformative educational leadership, disorder, confusion, lots of dysfunctional issues that I see in lots of schools, but we have probably progressed to this level. Individual impact and isolation. I do my thing, and we have been trained, and we go off in our silos, we close our doors, and we do the best job we can. What we want to do is look at the next stage, so coordinated impact with alignment. But that's not transformative. Your real transformation comes as that collective impact with a collaborative action. There's consensus building. There's valuing each other's ideas, thoughts, opinions, and energy. So I'll share with you at the very end more information about TEL. We had 70 people come in for a year-long program that we talked all about these topics. We had distinguished speakers every month on webinars, and we had also 2 retreats at the Omega Center in New York. And this is kind of what it began like. It began as a general introduction overview, but we modeled the concentric circles. We developed an opportunity for 100% of you to be engaged. Not just say, okay, who has an opinion about this? You raise your hand. You see that in classrooms all the time. So as I work with schools, I've seen it in AP classes, work with teachers in math, where students just have math anxiety. When you have the social, the internal work, where teachers are more comfortable, where administrators, this is what a faculty meeting should look like. So if there's a new policy, let's get together and figure out what does it mean and how should it be implemented rather than being mandated and told go back and implement it. Just like SEL, I see that a lot. Artifacts, bring something that's significant and meaningful to you and share a piece of your life. And that was the bonding factor. Everybody had something to share. And here's about you, and this is what we talk about transformation. It's not about where you are now or what I value or what you value. Is that your wings already exist. The thing is all you have to do is fly. And as an interdependent community, we're here to help each other fly. I'm still learning. I don't have all the answers, and I'm not going to pretend I have all the answers. In fact, when I see things happening in school, I learn about my level of mindfulness, whether they be challenging or positive. So this is second order change. First order change is rearranging the room, getting a more aggressive evaluation system, changing the way we assess children, and having the common core. You know, we used to have no child left behind, but when we find out most of them were left behind, then we went to ESSA, you know. And what happened? That is first order change. First order change. But I'm going to be the caterpillar and you be the butterfly. Oh, you've changed.
We're supposed to.
Yeah, you did that very well. Let me try it one more time. Oh, you've changed.
We're supposed
That's second nature. That's transformative. Oh, that's in the DNA. This caterpillar knows that by the time, at a certain time, this is what you become. In education, we're tripping over ourselves. We're not communicating. We think we understand what is the outcome. Like I told you about open space. We thought we knew what it was supposed to be like, but we tripped over ourselves and we didn't do it very well. So I want you to take a look at this. This is education in action.
Fall down, okay? Don't worry.
Okay, then Lauren's gonna catch you.
Pull your sides? Okay.
Okay, it's called the trust fall. Okay, trust fall. Ready, set, go.
We think we all understand. We think we're all on the same page. We are not. It's that simple. It's not that complicated. It's not rocket science. So when you look at assumptions that we make in education, we don't have the opportunity to really reflect on doing the work before the work. Doing the work before the work. We see all of these initiatives being thrown out in education, and we're not taking time to really process what it means and what we have to do to prepare for it. So when we take a look at SEL, social and emotional learning, look at this exciting group. That's where we want to arrive. That doesn't happen by mandate or policy or even program adaptation. It happens by understanding that this is a process that children, adolescents, and adults working in this area, which is intrapersonal, being self-aware and being able to manage those emotions and feelings and thoughts. Also, this is interpersonal, and we'll just touch on it real quickly. Feel empathy for others and maintain positive relationships. So the intrapersonal impacts the relationship, and that's why we did the meta for the children. How you think and view them affects how you respond to them, and that really governs your decision. So if you have loving kindness, appreciation, value in this arena here, and you take care of yourself, it will impact the way you make decisions. If you have hate, resentment, anger, racism, and devalue children, it impacts those decisions. That's why we have what we have, because we haven't done the internal work. We try to window dress it by policy. So social emotional learning, in Oakland, I just love this here. It's not just teaching a competency in the classroom, which I see all the time. Oh, we have second step. We taught about empathy, and then when we put that away, then we got back to our work. And what happens, there is no translation. There's no connection. So we have, through strengthening our SEL competencies, we are better able to connect across race, class, gender, identity, sexual orientation, learning needs, and age. So that means that if I learn what compassion is, then Mary, I look at you with a great deal of compassion, and I say, Mary, I love those earrings, they have heart. That tells me about you. Does it? Yeah. You say yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you were coming into the room, I made it a personal interest to greet you. It was important to me. I sometimes get caught up in the tech end, and I'm running around. You sit down. Okay, be quiet. I'm gonna perform. But your entry is just as important as what we do here. That sets the tone. That's my meta to you. I value you. As you came in, I'm very grateful that you're here. So that's SEL. How many are familiar with the CASEL? Absolutely. You're intrapersonal, interpersonal, and that governs the way you make decisions, not only in the curriculum, but also school-wide practices, from the front office to the principal's office, to central office, to the superintendent, family and community. They should not be excluded. So here we are, the intrapersonal. These are all in the Dropbox, so I want you to take a look at them. And so it gives you a really good idea about what we want to take a look at, that the 4 or 5 competencies are interdependent and should not be looked at in isolation of the context in which we work. Again, how do we get there? We don't mandate it, and we don't do it in isolation, because these children come from another system, a school, or another teacher. If teachers do not reinforce the collaborative culture within the classroom and the empathy and compassion, then these children won't go from classroom to classroom practicing those skills, because only one person in the building does it. And in fact, in middle school, when I work with SEL, those middle school teachers tell me all the time, I can tell the elementary schools that do SEL and those who don't, because the students can really work together from an SEL school a lot better. So we look at the research that safe, supportive school climate and SEL skills instruction. This takes work. This is the work before the work. How do we as adults become effective in creating a safe learning environment? Instead of cutting children off and not giving them a chance to grow and develop at their own pace and to differentiate instruction, we are not giving children a chance to be safe. So children become angry and resentful, like I did when I was in elementary and middle school. And SEL skills explicit, don't just be nice. Nice is okay, but nice is not going to cut it. Oh, I love these kids. So what are you doing to help? Oh no, I just hug them. Okay, what do you expect them to do? Go around and hug everybody else? That's just you. But we want these kids to transfer those skills and make a positive attitude about themselves first and foremost. And if teachers don't feel good about themselves, kids know it. Kids know it when you're stressed out. They know it when you're angry. They know it when you don't like them. And you don't even have to say anything. And look at the outcome. Higher academic achievement. Isn't that what we want? Second order change. Focusing on the impact that adult attitudes have on behavior and on students. That's about digging deeper. It's not about programs and it's not about policy, but it's about looking at the foundational to adult, student to student, adult to student, student to student. And we don't do enough work for student to student. Students demand it. There's a lot of studies that show that students want to be welcomed in their classroom. That was my welcoming ritual, by the way. As you were walking in, it was very intentional. That's a faculty meeting, that's a department meeting, that's a district meeting. It's that welcoming ritual. Engaging practices, concentric circles, 100% of you are involved. We'll do a quick optimistic closure at the end. And this is what I really look at also. You're familiar with morning meetings and community meetings in the classroom. It's a skill. Teachers just don't automatically know how to do that because for me, I didn't grow up doing community circles or even engaging activities. I was in the traditional way, rows, you don't talk. And when I had my 50th class reunion, I walked up to some people, weren't you in my class yet? But we never talked. 50 years later, I saw the impact of having that disconnect, that impersonal learning environment, and competitive, and winners and losers. So look at this environment. These are the kind of things that we look at. Encourage cooperation and inclusion and practice. And it affects academics and reading. There's so much more that we can talk about. And this is what the students end up producing and posting around the school. They have messages, and we facilitate that opportunity for students to create messages. Mindful. Think about you. Where are you on this continuum? So here's 0. This is a radio brain. You know what a radio brain is? You know, the old radios, you turn, or a monkey brain, you know, all these things going on in your brain. And this is really tranquility. This is like nirvana, enlightenment, total peace. So just raise your hand as I go down the scale. Where are you on this scale? Just raise your hand. Okay, all right. Oh, I'm going to go over right there in the mid-range there. Okay, we're getting over here to the higher levels of, this gives you just a quick assessment. What is mindfulness? Is this mindfulness? Is this mindfulness? It's not? It looks like mindfulness, doesn't it?
It depends.
It depends, okay? That's conditional. We'll just burn that one up here because it's not about just sitting and meditating and then you walk away and it has no impact on your business. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what we do. Okay, I'm giving, oh God, I hate that outfit. Oh, you know, oh man, you messed up. You know, that is not mindfulness. It's taking you, Mina is executive director for TEL. So it's paying that attention to your inner and outer life. As it unfolds, it's in the process of grounding the body, breath, senses, and so forth. And so open-hearted presence and awareness and interbeing. We are interdependent and we also are interbeing. That means that where you are now, it depends on your parents, it depends on your environment, it depends on the weather. There's a interdependency in our ecological system as well as our emotional interaction. So again, this is on the Dropbox. It is the equivalent to the 5 core competencies, but with mindfulness. And it's got some great material in there to help you think about how do we translate SEL into mindfulness. So look at this. This was a faculty meeting. Let's talk about mindfulness as it relates to relationships. There is a lot has to do with mindfulness. It's not a private enterprise and a private practice. Respectful, thoughtful, trusting, communicating, compassion. So just to give you an idea, some of the things that we cover and tell. The more familiar we are with our inner terrain, the more sure-footed our teaching and living becomes. So this is one of the things that we really want to emphasize, that we have ability to respond, not to be triggered and have our prefrontal cortex hijacked by our amygdala. It is about looking at the low and the high and being able to respond and have that ability to choose your response. That's the pause, and that's what mindfulness does, rather than having children that trigger you off. We know that children have a lot of anxiety and depression. That is endemic in our schools, and even with our faculty and staff. So one of the things that I see a lot is that this is teacher stress. We're getting a lot into mindfulness in education, but a growing number of trainings say that the critics say the real problem is much deeper. You may be developing that level of compassion and calmness, but you walk into a very dysfunctional, toxic work environment. That is not dealing with the problem. It's maybe being able to tolerate an unjust and toxic environment. So here, we can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. Take care of. That's that inner work that we've talked about. So I do want you to just think about that, because we're going to look at just equity and leadership and then spend a few minutes kind of comparing those. So we talk about equity, equality. Everybody has the same size in the box. Equity, have you seen this before?
Yeah.
Then you kind of like, Robin Hood, you take this box and add it to that box. And then I've seen this one. Liberation, you take the wall down. Excuse me. You take the fence down. That really bothers me. I don't like that. I never have. And finally, I was looking for something, a graphic that really talked about transformation, education, and leadership. And this is what I came up with. How do we get children, like we did with our concentric circles, engaged? Facilitating. Adults facilitate the engagement. Not that, we have this club and every student is welcome to join. No. If they don't feel welcome, they are not going to join. If they don't like you as a teacher or as a principal, they are not going to comply and participate. So this is the transformational end. But we want to make sure that we understand that equity doesn't just stand alone. We are really interested in developing the leadership component as well. So transformational leadership in schools is when a leader empowers members. See, this is a key word. Not just led them, they empower them. They set up systems in which the members of the learning community improve from within. Allowing the members to take a look at ideas. This is an elementary school that I've worked with. They had a terrible problem with no parent involvement at all. and they realized it was them. They were not very welcoming, but it didn't occur until we did concentric circles, allow them to explore. Also, I had training in Virginia. This is in Sacramento. This is food service people. What can they do better to welcome children as they come in and get their food, not throw the food at them and so forth. So, and this is brainstorming. So we're going to circle up. Get out your cards. And this one is going to be, and since, because, well, I want to make sure that we have time to focus on this activity. We are going to do finding your kind. Finding your kind. And when we hear the bell, I want you to just come back. So we're going to take 5 minutes to do this. So find your kind. For example, all the green cards, hold up your green card. Hold up your green card. Okay, all the green cards, I want you to get together anywhere in the room. You can stand, sit down, and I want you to introduce yourself. And ask this one basic question. And I'll give you about 5 minutes to do this, so it's very short, about 30 seconds each. What is the work before the work that you need to focus on in order for you to become a transformative educational leader? Stephen Covey talks about the circle of concern and the circle of influence. So we're talking about only your circle of influence, not about how the system sucks, or your colleagues don't like to work together, or the kids, or they come from dysfunction. No. Where is your circle of influence? Right there. What difference can you make? And what do you need to do? What do you need to work on before? So you may have about 5 people in the group together, and then when I give you the chime, just come on back, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes so we can end on time. So, find your kind, the same color card. You can just hold them up and just get together real quick. A quick introduction, round robin, remember to pronounce each other's name. And work before the work that you need to do. Hey, do you need a hookup?
When you have a moment.
One minute. Everybody should go.
We always forget.
Yeah.
We're almost done.
Yeah, but I'm going to give you instructions. I'll give you about 30 seconds to finish up. At the sound of the chime, hands in the middle, share energy, thank each other, and head on back to your seat. So I'll give you 30 seconds, but on the sound of the chime, give that signal of unity and head on back to your seats. 30 seconds, I'll chime it when it's time.
Did Patrick retire,
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he and I were
I mean, it was
about the
I
same.
knew him.
Right. I'm gonna give you. Okay.
So I'm going to say that we did some very significant, but yet probably subtle activities that created a transformed community. Our culture now is engaging. You did some things that brought you together, but there had to be structure. There had to be a design that literally brought you physically together that I was able to facilitate. And what happened, all your true values, the goodness, the kindness, the love, compassion, was able to express itself. What we see in education is we talk about what you need to do, but we don't practice how to do it. So you did an activity that was 100% engaging, it was embracing, and I didn't allow you just to walk away. You do that too much, that hurts. We just walk away. You brought closure. So together, hand on heart. I'm going to think about you when I think about this, but you need to care for yourself. Together, ready, go. May I be safe.
May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace.
So as you go about your day and the rest of your life, leave footprints of love and kindness wherever you go. Do not leave here without saying thank you to 3 or 4 people. And I want to say thank you also. You understand? That is a footprint. So thank you all for coming. Here's the website. Thank you. Everything, all the slides on the Dropbox. Oh, James, I forgot to introduce. James was involved with the TEL. I have the handout on your chair. I gave you the handout, so we'd love for you to consider applying for our next cohort this year. So,
You got to do that
it's so
again.
good to see you. Say goodbye to your neighbor. Don't just walk away. Express some appreciation and gratitude.